Hello, welcome to the European Open briefing for Thursday, August the 2nd. I'm Rafi Boyajian, currency analyst at XM.com, and we're going to be taking a look at what's happening in the currency markets today. The US dollar is the strongest currency this morning. We did have the Fed policy decision yesterday, though the dollar's moves are being directed by volatility in bond markets. We're seeing the 10-year US Treasury yields spiking above 3%. So that is the main driver for the greenback this morning. We also saw Japanese government bond yields also pushing higher before the Bank of Japan intervened in the markets too, and then we saw the JGB yields drifting lower a little bit. We do have quite a bit of risk-off sentiment in the markets this morning, particularly in Asia. This comes after the US government confirmed that President Trump has requested that the planned tariffs on 200 billion worth of Chinese imports be raised from 10% to 25%. We can see big losses in Chinese indices this morning. In Europe, we're seeing German DAX being most affected from those heightened trade tensions. We did also see a negative close in Wall Street overnight as well. In terms of what's coming up later today, we're going to have the Bank of England policy decision where a rate hike is expected. We can see sterling moving lower ahead of that announcement, currently trading around 1.3077 versus the US dollar. The euro is also weaker this morning, currently around 1.1620, was unable to hold above the 1.17 level, which it reached earlier in the week. And the Aussie and the Kiwi are both also down. The Aussie is down despite the fact that we saw much stronger than expected trade figures out of Australia for the month of June, where the trade surplus came in much higher than what had been anticipated. The Canadian dollar isn't doing as badly, though. Yesterday it reached a 7-week high amid signs that the three sides, Canada, Mexico, and the US, are close to reaching a deal on the very sensitive issue of renegotiating the auto sector in the NAFTA agreement. So once that is cleared, we could potentially see the NAFTA negotiation being concluded later in the year. If you look at the main movers this morning, we can see the dollar at the top of the table, dollar index up by 0.2%. Gold is also up this morning. At the bottom of the table, we've got Aussie dollar as well as Euro yen. Let's now take a closer look at the dollar-yen pair. We can see although the dollar-yen has retreated from above the 112 level, it is holding nicely around 111.65 at the moment. We can see there is support there from the 20 moving average in the 4-hour chart. So yesterday we saw the dollar getting a bit of a lift after the 10-year Treasury yields hit a 10-week high of 3.016%. Other government bond yields also rose, particularly Japanese government bond yields, though the Bank of Japan did intervene this morning to push down the yields from 18-month highs. Yesterday's Fed decision didn't really bring any surprises. The statement was a bit more optimistic on the economies. This reinforced expectations of a September rate hike, but at the moment the focus is mainly on bond markets. The reason why US Treasury yields are being supported higher at the moment is because yesterday we had an announcement from the Treasury Department saying that they're going to auction more debt in the coming months. So there's going to be more treasuries on the market. So that is basically increased supply means higher yields. Let's now turn to the Bank of England, because they will announce their decision later today, where they're expected to raise interest rates for only the second time since the global financial crisis. All eyes will be on the MPC vote. If we do get a split vote of 6-3 or 5-4, that would be seen as somewhat dovish rate hike, and we could see sterling possibly drifting lower after that. On the other hand, if the Bank of England reiterates its current stance, where they expect to raise rates a couple of more times over the next 2 to 3 years, we could potentially see sterling climbing higher. Although given all the Brexit uncertainty in recent weeks, we're not expecting any major moves for cable after the BoE's decision. And a quick look now at the Turkish lira, because it has been in the headlines in recent days. The Turkish lira hit a new record low of 5.07%, breaking past the 5 lira level for the first time. This comes after the US imposed sanctions on 2 Turkish ministers over detention in Turkey of a US pastor who is being held there on terrorism charges, which the US government is angry about and wants Turkey to release the pastor. Apart from that, and there's a possibility, of course, of more sanctions. In recent weeks, of course, we've seen the president interfering in the central bank's affairs and preventing the Turkish central bank from raising rates higher to defend the lira. All of that we can see. The Turkish lira moving sharply lower versus the US dollar over the past couple of months. And looking what's coming up later today, Bank of England decision is due at 11 hours GMT, followed by a press conference with Mark Carney at 11:30 GMT. And later in the US session, focus will be on the weekly jobless claims and factory orders. That's it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.